And welcome everybody to another episode of Who's Got Clout on Clout Forum. And I'm Mark Bentley, tuning in from Western Australia. We have our incredible founder of Clout Forum and co-host Alex Roken, who's holding the fort in the background. We're coming towards him with some questions for our special guest today. And I would love to introduce who I think many know by now. And if you don't, it is the magical Dgsus, our own little Jesus keeping us walking in the right direction out here in the DeSo world. How are you doing this morning, Daniel?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. First of all, it's a great initiative that you guys got here, getting all the OGs to talk with you guys, and not only anyone that you guys are willing to bring forward and talk to the community. And I think it's a great idea, and I thank you for doing this, and thank you for having me. So yeah.
Well, really appreciate the recognition and really appreciate that, Daniel, because it's something that Alex and I love. It's I'll speak for me, but I think we'll speak for us both, Alex, when I say it's so much fun being able to just get everyone on and just get to know you better, right? Because I mean, that's the beautiful thing about this platform is as we develop more trust in our community, we get to really start to create some magical things.
Yeah, knowing people, firsthand, and it has been awesome so far.
Absolutely. So before we jump into the conversation, I just want to read out our little blurb that we've put out here for you. Just for those that don't know Daniel here, it goes under the name Dgsus on BitClout, DeSo, Diamond app, whatever app you're using. Make sure to track him down. And so Dgsus is a dev and community builder. So that's developer for those that aren't in the dev language. It was invested a lot of his time and energy in helping us all to understand what lies underneath the BitClout platform and revealed a lot about the DeSo blockchain itself for non-developer users. His tech background is on network and systems, worked in many projects for Fortune 500 companies, a solutions seeker and crypto geek. So Dan, I remember the first time I met you was in Nacho Average.
Yeah, most of us, right? Most of us met first on Nacho Average.
It was a pretty magic time, wasn't it? It was like every single day we were just all jumping in there, so many collaborative ideas and magic happening.
It was crazy, just to see these people from all around the world. And the idea was pretty novel, someone in the community just opening a call 24/7. That was awesome, Anytime I wasn't busy during the work week, I would just join and just sometimes even during work, I would just keep you guys on the background and I would, keep working. But just hearing what's going on, and it was exciting these initial days, and I still drop there from time to time, even though for me, I during the week I shouldn't be able to do that because I work during I have a real life work, let's put it that way, and it's harder for me to get there, and also initially it was a lot of adrenaline, it was a lot of, well, what
Mm,
is this thing, and let me stay connected, let me see what's going on. But now, gladly for me and for my family, I've been able to, to distance myself a little bit more, not being always connected here, because that's not good for anyone. um,
mm.
but it allowed me, to learn it, to study it, to see how it worked, and to see the potential of it, and it kept me engaged, not just,
Mm,
the same amount of time I was doing before, but I'm still pretty engaged, I would say. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I think it's something that we see a bit of a trend of is like so many of us that were in that, Nitro Average crew that were diehard for so many months. It's like, I know for myself and, so busy always with Clout Forum and all that time that I used to go into Nitro Average call, I'm now here having conversations with all of you and different people. And so big shout out to the crew that are still holding it there, because I think it's definitely not because we don't enjoy it. It's just now it's tricky to find the time and place to sneak it all in, huh? So, Daniel, one thing I don't believe I've actually had the conversation with you about before, but what's your origin story, your DeSo origin story? Like, how did you actually discover it, and what kind of intrigued you and got you to say yes to looking deeper
Yeah,
into it?
initially it was the hate that was going on Twitter. I was seeing
Okay.
all these, well, some people that I used to follow, well, that I still follow, and I see what they are saying, Bitcoin people, Ethereum people, and I was seeing all the hate, like, these guys did this, and they are doing illegal stuff by taking all these profiles, and I was thinking, well, okay, that's not really illegal, but let's see what's that's about, what's going on there. And well, and then that's how I discovered it. I think, I'm not sure how I got the password, because when I joined it was still password protected, the front end. I'm not entirely sure how I got the password. I don't recall. If I think it was someone I think it was someone that messaged me on Twitter with it. I can't recall though. And that's how I discovered it. In the beginning, there were, when I joined, there were maybe 40 users, maybe 40, 50 users.
For real.
Yeah, it was mostly memes, posting stuff. It wasn't that many people. It was, yeah, 30, 40 people when I joined. And yeah,
That's incredible.
it was interesting to see it grow, yeah, it started from there, just seeing all the hate going on, and I wanted to, I normally like to make up my own mind. I was reading all of that, but I wanted to see what it was about. I wanted to see it for myself, and quickly I discovered it wasn't like everybody was saying that it was. Most of the information that people were putting out was just FUD, was just, seeing
Mhm.
some signs and explaining them the worst way possible, without knowing further, without having any info, just assuming the worst always. And the internet is very good on that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I just, wow, I want to see it for myself, and I stayed, and I
Mm.
kept talking, and I met people, and and I was seeing the fun of it. I wasn't seeing all the bad stuff that these guys were saying, that this project was, this platform was. And I just kept posting, kept interacting with people, kept meeting people. So yeah, for me, before I had, I've been on social media a lot. Initially, when Facebook appeared, I spent also a lot of time on Facebook. For the last 5 years, not really. Same goes to Twitter. I had an account. Right now, the account that I have linked to my profile is even a new account that I created this year. But I have an account from 2011, I think, or 2012, that I don't even use. I have like maybe 5 or 6 posts there. So just for you to see that I wasn't using social media anymore, because I didn't see the point of it. It was also
Mhm.
dark. It's also sarcastic. Is also, eh, I didn't see,
Absolutely, man.
and there was no benefit to it, you know, because on Facebook, I had my real life friends, which I still have, and I just call them and we just speak that way. But here is different. Here on DeSo is different because you can make money. You can have a financial benefit, not just the benefit of having many followers on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, but you can actually make money from your thoughts, from your ideas. And yeah, that is very liberating, and that is life-changing for a lot of people. And
Absolutely
depending
right.
where you are in the world, right? A diamond for me might be nothing, but for someone in some places in the world, it's meaningful.
I was thinking about that actually, that we see such a spread of people on the platform that, like we had the, we've got people from India, we've got people from all these other places where generally it's challenging to take part in the crypto world, etc., because you need to have some investment capital, you need to have something to get started, whereas you legitimately can get started on DeSo and choose your platform and just start sharing content, being kind, and next thing you know, people are investing, they're throwing diamonds, and there's your starter capital right there.
Yeah,
it is incredible.
Initially I brought in $300 when the platform was brand new, and I was still wary about it because even though I didn't see what every other further were saying, I still saw problems, and I still saw so let's take it easy. So I will put $300 that I got from yielding on some DeFi project. So it wasn't even money from my bank account. I had that there, and I was like, if I lose it, it will be fine. So if this doesn't go nowhere, it will be fine. So I just put $300, and that's how I started, and it has been going well. But my main focus here, fortunately for me at least, is not about the money, because I do a lot of crypto, and my actual funds are there. I have a little bit here, and it's not that I don't see the potential and I don't see that it can grow a lot. And I thought sometimes in putting more money, but there are still some things that I don't agree. How the community has been driven so far by the devs, by the core devs, and how the core devs are making their decisions. And I'm not saying that they are wrong. It's not that they are wrong, like with like only telling the community afterwards, etc. What happens. It's not that they are wrong on doing that. It's their project. It's new, even though they don't set expectations very right, because they came out of the gate saying this is a network of the users. It belongs to the users. But then in the end, the users, they don't have much to say. But it's okay, in the beginning of a project, that's fine. It cannot be completely decentralized, or else, it's everybody pulling their way, and then there is no path forward. So that's why I think we are early. I think we are definitely way early, and we have just to keep our calm and keep interacting, keep engaging, because the network can be big. It does have the potential to change a lot of lives, as it has already, but not many people have realized that yet. So let's see where it goes. But I think we are in a good path. And now lately, Nader has been a bit more open, and just with a post these last days, trying to see if there is a way for the community to influenciate on what's happening, how should they be spending the money, feedback for the referral program. So they are taking all in. That's good. They are, I hope that at some point, something like a referral problem, a program, this kind of big actions around the platform will be, discussed before they actually happen, because we didn't know this referral was happening. We didn't know what were the parameters for the referral. And the way they do it, they made it very easy to be scammed. They made it very easy for bots to take advantage of it. For the way that they structured how people were getting the money wasn't wise. It was in my opinion, like many things here, it has been rushed. That's my main complaint. It's because I understand some things that you cannot know everything to make always the best decision the first time. That's, you have to learn and you have to get feedback. So I'm hopeful that in the future it will be more like that, that these kind of things will be discussed before with everyone. Not that, it's not that the community should decide at all. I'm not saying that the community knows best, because most of the times they don't know best. you know they don't, and we have to be honest about it, and we have to be realistic about it. There are many good ideas. I'm not saying that there are many good ideas in the network, in the community, but it's it's a voice that I believe should be heard and should have the impact of one vote. For one thing that these guys now, Jason and Darian have been trying to put the DeSo community reps. I think I've seen some pushback from other people on it, like even from Tyne, for instance, which is a person I respect a lot, his opinion. But I do see the advantages of having a unified voice towards the devs. It's not like this community, these reps would make any difference. It's just a voice. It's just one vote, one voice from the community that we should, organize ourselves in a way that is legitimate. That we can go to the devs and say, look, the community got together. We got 1,000 votes, for instance, in these subjects, and this was in the end we got to this, and this is the community vote. We would like this. Now, if that happens or not, I don't know, but that's what they are trying to do, and I think that's important. Also, on town halls, the last town hall was such a mess. Well, two things. First, it was organized very quickly. We didn't have time to prepare the community, because most of the questions that we asked were like, even me, when I was there, the questions I asked, it was what came to my mind. I wasn't really prepared. The community wasn't prepared. And for me, I think it was a good question, but there were so many more important questions that nobody asked, and that I saw afterwards. I was like, oh shit, we should have asked this, we should have asked, oh my god, we didn't ask anything really relevant. A few questions were good, but we missed a lot. And that's why I think it's important for the community to get together, to know when there's a town hall, to get all the questions, to coordinate, to see who has the most important questions according to the community, that would vote in the most important things for us to ask, and then go and ask. So, unified efficiently, so we can get to, well, mostly because the time that we have where neither will interact in the spot, not like asking something and waiting a week for a reply. We should be very conscious that we have to be as prepared as possible, because we don't have these chances this many times. It doesn't happen that often. Since the last one, we've been asking and we've been pushing when is the next town hall, and we still don't know.
Yeah. No, I love that you're bringing up some really juicy grit here, because it is one of those things that, anyone that's followed me on the platform will see that I can be an eternal optimist. And for me, inspiration has always been my thing towards the bigger vision. But if there's not realism, if there's not grit, if we don't actually be honest, like you're saying, then the dreams never manifest. We all need to play our roles there, right? And that's actually brings me to something I was thinking about with one of the recent posts from Nader, talking about, they in the post I was seeing that they were acknowledging that community management is not their strong point, and that they were asking, does anyone have recommendations for somebody who is really pro at this, that can help them take charge on that? And because I think a lot of people don't really have that experience, right, of witnessing the other side of the lens, the other side of the table, what it's like to be under the pump and under the pressure as a small team developing and creating, and no matter what they do, they won't always get it right for everyone. And so what I'm liking about what you're saying, Daniel, though, is that this is something I'm a big advocate for. When we talk about decentralization, that means each of us need to take our own authority, right? We need to step up and be responsible for how we interact, as opposed to expecting a centralized power to do it, which in turn means, as a community, it's our responsibility to also organize and get clear, like you're saying, so that when they do open up, we can help give them solutions in a clear way that they can hear. So that's really important.
Solutions and questions, questions for questioning them on some of their decisions. Because there are a lot of decisions, for instance, this the $1 million for Diamond app, for instance, this was all a hush-hush in the sense that, for instance, they could have been transparent with everyone when they announced the fund. That million for Zordan, that was already done. When they came out and say the Octane fund is starting, we're going to do this and that, they should have already said, and the first allocation has already been made to Zordan. But they came a week later, just not to announce at the same time. And these kind of things, they don't look good. They already knew before, because this, even the money, the DeSo was wired to Zordan months ago, even before we even know there was an Octane fund. These transfers from who I am to Zordan, they of around $1 million worth were already done. We were all wondering, what was that? Nobody knew. They never replied. We asked about it. Why is who I am sending 1 million to this guy? And then $1 million went back, and then there was, what's going on? And they never told us. And then, a week after the fund was announced, oh, by the way, 1 million is going here. Okay. That's fine. I'm not soured because of that. What I don't understand is the lack of transparency. It's trying to make it look different when there is no need for that. Just be open with it. Just be transparent. Just say, I understand they cannot say everything as it happens. There are some things that they have to keep close to the vest and release at due time. I understand that. And maybe this could be one of those cases, but I don't know. I don't think it's that special, to be honest, to be such a closed secret that nobody could know before. And I don't know that, but that's just my idea. I'm not saying it's either wrong or right. I just think that they should have been transparent from day one on that, so it doesn't fuel, the community, not hate, but this thinking that they, that we have nothing to say, we know nothing. We are the ones that are actually using the service. We are the ones that are helping them make the product better. And not only that, we are the ones that gave them the money, because this money in the fund, it was us. It wasn't the VCs, because neither clarified that. And I was very surprised to learn that, only 40 million was put in by the VCs. 140 was us, the users, the community. That's who.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's way more. I didn't expect that so many people like you and me would be putting so much money here. Well, some have put a lot more than others, of course, but it's in the end, it makes at least it makes me feel like they should be listening to us, even though I do realize that the community is not always the best to steer a product, and definitely not in the early days. Because it has to be pros, and that's actually one of my complaints. They have all this money, but their team is so small. How? There are no. I understand it's a startup, but when the startup gets 200 million in the first year, it's hard to call it a startup, even though it's starting up. But you have the money, you have the connections here. It's not. They have been in the space for so long. Why is it so hard to bring more people in? It's community managers, marketing people, more devs. There is a lot missing, which they are supposedly solving it, and hopefully they will get more people and doing the work. And I think we will be able to get there where we want to go. And of course, the community fund, or the fund for third-party devs to come, is very important. And I think it's one of the most important things for mass adoption is developers to come and actually build stuff that users want.
Absolutely. Now, Maestro, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge we've got a few people on the live streams who are joining in. So big shout out to Kanchi, who's live with us in the Zoom. If you're watching this, by the way, you can join us in the Zoom and join in the chat there as well. Links are all on cloutforum.org. But also we've got Paul Burke and the Dark Knight tuning in over on YouTube live. And Paul has just commented in regards to this, Daniel. Giving up control is the hardest part of growing a business.
Yeah.
And this makes me think as well, of like, as you're saying, Paul, like giving up control is the hardest part of growing a business. It's like a child when you raise a baby, it's like, that attachment to the child can be hard as they get older and they have to make their own mistakes. And I could imagine like there's that part. That's the part that my heart always goes to when I think of Nader and the team and what they've created. I've always got a soft spot that sits there and thinks how wild this is to trust. And he has to, because his vision is about decentralization. His vision is about liberating creators and giving it to the people and all those things. But I can imagine it must be a little bit terrifying sometimes of taking a wrong step and letting it loose in the wrong ways. And I tell you what, I don't envy his job. That's for sure.
No,
so if anyone has any recommendations for community managers, please do make sure you're shouting them out and sending them to the developer team.
Yeah, it is hard, of course. And, I haven't started, I have started some businesses, but not in this same kind of product, own product. But yeah, I can imagine it is hard. It is hard because, he had this idea for it. And he wants to see it happening. But, at least in my opinion, he hasn't been very true to that, to what he said. If you read the vision and you see what's happening, not really. But like I said, we are early and I think we can get there. But the part of let's say we are early. Let's just say that. I don't want to say anything more negative because I think it can change and I believe it can change. So there's no point of being negative. It must more so if you believe it can change. So yeah,
that's the key, right? Yeah, that's the key. Will it change? And I think we've seen signs of all that happening. Yeah. And like you say, though, it's a process. And I think a lot of people haven't quite grasped just how early we truly are. It's like, this is wild how early to be part of this. And in that, it's important, though, at the same time, just like you're bringing to the table here, that we have honest conversations and don't just keep on saying, oh, but it's early, but it's early. It's like, yeah, it's early, but we need to make some changes along the way while it's early, right? Because that's where changes can be made.
Definitely. When the product is much more mature, changes will have to be, at least in a professional product, when you have something in production that works, changes are not that easy and take time to do and should be all tested. And now it's the time to do things right, because the use base is not that much. But that's also a problem, because now the feedback that they are getting is from whoever is using it, and we don't know if those are the best users of the platform, right? It's hard. And one thing that I see a lot that I don't really understand why, I see a lot of people entitled of, like they owe us anything, like Nader and the dev team owes something, I can understand why some people think that, because they are putting their time, they are putting their money, but they forget that nobody asked them to do so. They are doing because they want. I'm putting my time because I want, and I put some money because I wanted to. Nader didn't make me or anyone. So when I'm saying something critical, I'm not. I don't think anyone should do it in a way that it's like they owe us something, or they that we deserve to get something back. I see a lot of people on that path, and I don't think that's a wise path for anyone. It will just bring misery, because they don't owe us anything. And even though a lot of the money is our money, we decided so. And the best thing we can hope is that they will listen to us in a way, and I believe that they should listen to us. I don't think that we should be deciding anything at all. I think we should just be one more vote. They have 6 core team. Their core team is 6, and if the community had a vote, that would be 7. That could be like a swing vote of sorts. But that's as much as I think the community should have. One vote, that's it. No, we can't decide anything. We should just have our voice heard and quantified by them, and that's it.
Yeah, it's like radical self-responsibility, right? It's like we came in here, we've all, and what's really interesting, Daniel, is like I put my money in without anyone trying to get me to. No one even suggested it, right? It's like similar to you. I had some ETH mining. My got a bunch of machines mining ETH. I think it was about $2.5 grand, and because I saw the vision, and I'm on the crazy a lot, right? So I kind of I saw that, and I was like, "Fuck it," pardon my expression, but I was like, "This just hit my heartstrings." I just felt something about this that I took that and I put it in, and it wasn't. No one tried to tell me. I mean, this is the most incredible marketing that's been done with this to pull that kind of money, like without anyone being asked to, in that sense. And I know for me personally, when I did that, I came in with that self-responsibility of, if this goes to shit, if everything goes down and this is not successful, I'm okay with that, because I felt like this was one hell of an adventure. It's going to be an amazing journey. And if they don't pull it off, it's a massive thing of trying to pull off here, then hey, we gave it a shot. So I love that you put that context in, because it can come across like a lot of people are having that kind of entitled, self-entitled kind of thing. It's part of our Western culture, especially,
I guess,
right?
yeah, mostly.
We've gotten comfortable with governments taking care of this, governments doing that, tell them. So we've got this, it's almost like we're seeing the echoes of centralization still, the attitudes, because so many of us are used to centralized things where it's like, no, Facebook, I'm using it, you're selling my data, you should be fixing this. Whereas in this case, it's like, oh, I own my data here still. It's my profile on the blockchain that I can do what I like with. So this is a different game.
I think
it's just going to take some time, right?
Yeah. And this, there is one misconception. I think that, a lot of people that say, well, it is said actually on the vision that the data belongs to the users. But that's a bit misleading, because normally people would think that the data is mine, is really mine. I own it, but I don't. Nobody owns the data. The data is open. So it's not like you own your data. You don't own your data. You have ownership of your data, because it can see it is your data, it is your post, it is your thoughts, but it's not really your data. Like you could monetize on it because it's yours. No. Well, you can monetize on it if people are aligned with you, and if they like you, and if they go along with what you're saying. But the data is not really yours. It's open. But that's, in my mind, that's even better, because with open data you can have people getting involved and reading the chain for, it can also be bad, can be for nefarious reasons, but it can also be for good reasons. And hopefully, I'm hopeful that the good in the end will win and not the bad, because the bad, it's already there every day. We already see all the bad things on bots and scams and impersonators and shit, but there is a lot of good. And I think in the end, the good will win. It's hard. It's hard because I know the project is still in early days. There is no way for us to discover, one another. It's very hard. If we miss a post in a certain time on the feed, if you post something now and I go 4 hours later to see the feed, I might not see what you posted. So there is still a lot of discovery that needs to be done, and it's good that they have now started with this the algorithm, for that hot algorithm, and they made it open. And that is indeed huge, because that will give the power for anyone to do their own discoverability as they wish. Of course, this algo is still very, very infant. Let's say it's in infancy. There's still not good. It's very easy to rig now, to go to the hot feed. We just need a few accounts with a big coin value to put you there. If I send 10K to an account and I buy 10K on that account of coins and I put a like in my post, it's very likely that my post will go to the hot feed. It's still very easy to read, but it's a start. It's a start, and that's a very important start, because for me, it was one of the biggest problems for people to discover people, were that they, if they weren't following each other, they would probably miss it. Unless they would have to be looking at the feed at a particular time, they would miss it. And the good thing on the hot feed is it's not related to the time they posted. So you can see that, even you can see the first post was 12 hours ago, and then you see a post below that was 3 days ago, and then you see a post that was 2 hours ago. So it's not even time related, and that's good, because the good stuff, good, what is considered good and hot right now by the algo, at least that stuff stays there, and you can find it even though you might miss the time it was posted. So I think that's a big thing that we are missing, and it's great that it's open and that any node operator can tweak to their own vision of what should be hot. But yeah, there's still a lot to grow, and this is the part. One of the things that that Nader has been telling on TV and such. I think it's one of the biggest sell points for me. Because he was talking about people scamming and people this and people that, and he was saying that with the data being open, the best minds in the world can come and play around and make their own algorithms to discover bots, to discover this, to discover that, whatever it is. And that was never possible before, because everything was closed by, was walled gardens, Facebook, Twitter, So yeah, I think this is a big win, and most people don't even realize how big this can be in the long run.
Absolutely. You're just making me think, like, for most of my life, I kind of tended to lean towards more of a, my younger years, an anarchist kind of standpoint, mainly because I believe that humanities have the capacity for self-regulation, that we can work it out together as a community if we're given the space for it. And I used to get really frustrated. I wouldn't vote. I wouldn't want to have anything to do with the political system, because I felt like, well, I just got to tell these Muppets sitting at the top what to do and hope that they do it. Whereas what I love is exactly like what you're saying here, is that being open source, which I think it's going to take time, right, for a lot of the user base that come on to actually understand, because I'm sure lots don't even know what open source actually means, what decentralized actually means in the bigger picture. And so for those that are watching that don't, open source means, just like, our man Dgsus right here is saying, anyone can come into this platform and start applying their brilliant minds to finding solutions together. And that's what I'm so excited about. Like watching how you and so many of the developer team have come together. I remember once there was that scam. Who was it? I can't remember what it was. You probably know the details more, but I jumped into Nacho Average, right, into the call. And all the great minds of BitClout at the time were in there, including yourself and others, trying to work out what happened. Where did this money? And everyone's tracking the blockchain, looking at the funds. Who did what? How did this happen? And I was just like watching this going, this is unreal, to see that live in action.
Yeah, you could do that on other places, no? Or with your bank.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
But let me just clear two things here before we go on. First, I'm not a developer, Mark.
No?
I don't know, because I don't code. I don't do the actual code, the Go code, the JavaScript code, the C code, whatever code. I know a bit of code because I study it, but it's not what I do at all. I'm more into, well, I understand what the code does. Most of the times I can even read the code and more or less understand what it's trying to do, but that's not me, man. I'm more of a, understanding what it does, what these different technologies do, and how to work together and use things to do something else using, different places of different technologies. And that's what I do in real life, actually. It's, finding solutions to problems, to technological problems, is trying to find the best software, and most of the times even combining different parts to for an outcome. So I wanted to clear that. And on the open source part, open source is just the code is open source, but what I was referring to is the data in the blockchain being open, and that's not you don't say it's open source because you just say it's open. It's open data, let's say, because it's open source normally refers to the code being open source, which in this case it is as well, and that's very big also because it allows you not only to to improve on the code, but you could take it for yourself. You could take the code and you could make changes and build your own private DeSo, for instance. You don't even need to be connected to the rest of the chain. You could do your own thing. The community could do their own thing because it's open source. Yeah.
No, I really appreciate the distinction. I really do. And, I mean, it's one of those things, right? Also, I'm still learning the terms as well, like, coming into this world of developers, who does what and how does this work? And it's like trying to find more and more timeline data jump into this. I appreciate it because, it's, and it's the role that you play then is one of those, because often a developer can be so focused on one aspect, right? But then we need the ones who understand how they work, but then also can look over the top and see all the other parts and how they can plug in the solutions and how we can.
That's what I like to do. That's what I do in my work. Unfortunately, not blockchain related, but yeah.
What are you doing now? Do you mind me asking?
Sure. I work for an American company. It's a big company my work has to do initially with networks and systems. So I know a lot about infrastructure in general, how to set up infrastructure for running software. So, and I've done that for the biggest companies in the world, setting up their systems, their networks. So the architecting, the design, not the troubleshooting and maintenance. That normally wasn't for me. I was more in the design part and how everything will work for the software to work as intended. So that's what I was doing. But then this company where I work for now, I can say it's fine. I work for Riverbed. It's an American company that does one acceleration, application performance monitoring, and I've been posted for the last 4 years on one unique customer. So I'm a resident engineer for that customer, and that customer is an energy company, one of the biggest in the world. So what I do for them, I'm a senior tech consultant on their operational intelligence department. And what I do is I help setting up monitoring systems to proactively detect problems, fix problems. Sometimes I even, work with coders to develop scripts to do auto remediation, stuff like that. And it's just finding solutions to monitor what they need to monitor, to find the problems as fast as possible. And my second biggest role there is on what they call these major incidents, when something bad is happening. And normally they are always multi-vendor, bundles that you have. The network team is provided by AT&T. The hosting is provided by T-Systems. The end user computing is provided by Tata. The database is provided by this and that. Then there is this SaaS provider on the internet, and then there is this and that. And my work on these major incidents is trying to find out where the problem is. So, because all these teams say, no, right, the problem is not mine. No, the database is running fine. Oh, the network, no, the network is fine. Oh, the server is fine. Look, CPU, the memory, the disk is all fine. So the problem is not here. And I'm normally the one, reading the packets on the wire, because normally that's the where everything ends. Let's say there is nothing else that can refute that. So normally I just go there. I go straight to the packets. I read the network packets, and I can say, you might say the problem is not there, but I can tell you the problem is here. I don't know what the problem is, but it is here, because I can see on these network packets the delay, the retransmissions, the delta, whatever it is. I can tell you that the problem is here, and there is nothing you can tell me to say it's not, because I can see it here on the network packets and packets don't lie. That's what we say. Packets don't lie. When somebody says, no, but the problem cannot be here. I checked everything. And I just say, sorry, the packets they don't lie. The problem is there.
I tell you what, Daniel, it doesn't work in supermarkets, so.
No, I don't think
I like that. The packets don't lie. So when are you going to start working for the core team then? Sounds like your services will be very welcome.
No, man. Well, if they would pay me enough, sure. But you know, there
You hear that, Nader?
I'm sure they can find people to do that for them. But you know, I at some point I did want to do something on DeSo. I think that unifying front end is very necessary. You know, Diamond Happy is much better indeed at bitclout.com, but it's still just bitclout.com. You know, Diamond Happy is just that.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot more is necessary. My idea initially, and I did get together with some friends, and we did already a lot of pre-work on how this would work, on workflows, well, a lot of things, how a front end should work, because we wanted to unify not just BitClout, but crypto, because we see a lot of people that join BitClout and they are not on crypto. They don't know about crypto. They heard about BitClout because they heard they can make money. They also heard in the back of their mind that it's something crypto related. There is a blockchain, but they don't care. For them, it's just a site where they save 12 words. Fine, that's my password. Okay, that's what most people understand. And what I wanted to do is take the opportunity to onboard them to crypto in general. So not just to BitClout, but you know, create the interactions that you could safely do other crypto stuff, like buying from a decentralized exchange, like putting money on DeFi, gaining yield, farming some tokens, you know, to make it easy, to make it trustable, somewhere that they can know, because you know, right now you could put money in 1,000 protocols right now to do DeFi, but which one will you put? You know, that's still a big question. You know, fortunately for me, the ones that I've put, I never lost any money, but you know, you read about X happening all the time. On this protocol got hacked 100 million, this protocol got hacked 30 million, this, you know, so it's hard to have a direction where to go at, mostly safely, where to go safely. That's what I wanted to do for this in the early beginning. I wanted to do a proper front end that would be modular, you know, in the sense that you could build what you want. You could have a feed of this type of data here, you could have a feed of that type of data there, you could have NFTs here. You could build your own stuff, very customizable. Of course, initially we would provide some sort of a template for people that don't even care for that. They just want to see things pretty, to have something. But I wanted to be able to create this modular site to people to build their feeds. And of course, they would have, you know, their own algorithms that they could tweak in an easy way to find information as they want. I wanted to, you know, create these safe and easy interactions with the rest of crypto, to put, you know, you have some stable coins, just 1 or 2 buttons away, you can put it earning some yield, like 6% a year, just like, you know, that's what I was planning initially to do. But then, you know, with all the decisions that were made so far, because in the beginning when I came, I read the vision. And reading the vision, I was like, shit, this is it. Okay, I'm most probably going to quit my job and start doing this. But then I started seeing the actions from the team not really being according to the vision. And I said, well, I'm not going to quit my job. I have a family. I have a lot of responsibilities. So I'm not going to go head in on this now, because it's not going exactly as I hoped it would be going by now, even though I still think it might get there. So I don't mind not being the first, you know, because nowadays I see a lot of people saying, oh, being the first is very important. Not in the long term. It's very important to make a lot of money really fast, yeah. But if you are building something sustainable that you do see a long-term perspective, I have no problem not being first on the proper front end. So I'm taking it easy. See what happens.
So I'm going to be pestering you with messages after this to fire you up and try and get you to leap, because as you're describing that, one of the things I've been is contemplating is, from the body of work that I do, there's a community, Gene Keys, Human Design. There's thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people around the world that are doing this kind of work, but they're interacting on Facebook, and it's not nice. It doesn't. It creates this dynamic that's a bit shitty. And we've all been looking and waiting, and I'm kind of the front man for the community that's been exploring, what's out there. And that's one of the things that I've seen as a potential here. And as you're talking about these, the like, what were you saying? How you can kind of, it sounded to me like you were describing a WordPress for DeSo, like almost like not a WordPress for websites, but almost like where you can pull like all the different tools that you can use that someone's made for DeSo, and you can kind of go, I want that on my thing. Like, because we do virtual retreats a lot, right? And they do contemplation, you get together. So for example, you could have something to a video conferencing kind of thing that could go out from that way. To me, what you're describing is like, if you built that would be my heaven. I'd be like, okay, now it's go time for me, because I've got all these communities out there that I can bring in, and we can build our own communities where they don't need to find new people because they've got each other. They just need a place to share and to be able to exchange. And what you're describing sounds like what I've been hoping to hear about one day.
There are many other things I wanted to do there. The moderation, I wanted to be moderated by the community itself. It's not moderated by, in this case, Topaz, Nader, and SJC or the other node admin on BitClout. SG, well, yeah. So I wanted to make something that would be moderated by the community, and there also we have other ideas of like reputation. That reputation would also be given and taken by the community itself. And there are many ways that we even thought of ways of anti-bot thinking. So because of course this could easily be rigged by bots, so we already thought of many ways of fighting that back, and giving less weight or irrelevant weight to what we would consider as bots. But there's a lot that we still didn't think of, because to make this successful, moderation and reputation, there must be rewards, or else people won't do it. Like for instance, the community voting that we are all talking about. I bet that if we just do community voting, we will have 100 votes out of 2,000 or 3,000 users. People won't vote just because they can vote. Well, we see what happened. They don't vote for their own damn country, and even though it's not the same. But here it would be the same. If it's just voting for voting, I would get. Maybe I'm being a bit pessimist on that, but I don't think that would. If it would just be like that, you vote on what you want. I don't. Maybe in the beginning, people would be excited and more on top of it and voting and doing stuff. But I think that just voting for voting won't be enough. Unfortunately, there has to be some reward with it, like it happens on many DAO protocols for governance. That when you vote, you actually get some of the tokens back. And this doesn't need to be, it's definitely not, you're not going to get rich with it. That's for sure for voting. That's not the idea, right? It's just to have a sense of participation and benefit on doing so. And even the reputation, that people could give reputation to one another. That I think that would be awesome. And for the moderation, for instance, there are many things that we thought of, but how could you moderate? If it's community, imagine that you post something bad, and then I see it and I say, oh shit, this should not be here. So I will report it as this should be modded. This should be hidden or something. But then Alex goes there and looks at your post and says, this is awesome. Let me repost that. Because we certainly have different ideas of. So what would happen then? Mm-hmm. What would happen to the post? Will it be hidden? So, it's not an easy solution. And to make it, community, for the community to participate, they would have to be looking at, so this was flagged. Because this was flagged, is this bad or not? So it would go to some kind of a part on the site that you would have everything that was modded, where you then would say, yeah, this is bad, this is fine, this is bad, this is good, this is bad, on everything that was moderated. And then the community as a whole could give some sort of a moderation effect on every post. But I don't know. Maybe that's also an overkill. But I don't know.
Well, it's one of those challenging things we're going to have to face going forward, right? They're complicated challenges. They're complicated challenges that have been with us for all of eternity, and they're just getting more refined now, more complex, and now we're getting better tools to be able to handle them. But I think we're going to need a lot more conversations to get to the bottom of it.
And the best part is that we don't have to rely on the engineers of the core team as we used before with the engineers of Facebook or Twitter. Now we can just call. We have a very good friend that is really good on his work doing ML, doing machine learning algorithms. Hey, come and help me here. Look, we have all of this data. How would you figure out who is a bot here? You know, those kind of things that now we can get anyone to participate. You know, we would never be able to do this on Facebook, you know, because we don't have access to the data to be able to have a meaningful data set to be able to actually make such algorithms that have, you know, lasting effects.
Absolutely. Hey, Daniel, I'm just noticing the time. We could sit and talk
already an
for
hour.
Days, my friend. Have you got an extra 15 minutes by any chance?
10 minutes more, yes. Then
5?
I have to go and get 5. I have to go and get some bread from my family because I hear them waking up.
Oh, thank you so much for coming in and taking the
time. It's fine. Look, I wanted to.
Awesome, man. So we have one important question that I have to ask you before I'm allowed to let you leave, which is about your dinner with arts. We saw posted on DeSo. Yeah. How did that come out? What happened there?
Well, you know, Lisbon is popping nowadays. So this week was the blockchain week. So a lot of people from different blockchains were here, including art. Now, yesterday, ETH Lisbon started the hackathon, which is very big as well. Lots of people here. Then we have the Web Summit, which is the biggest, web conference in the world, which has been here for 3 years now, and for 3 years. And I think that's why also currently Lisbon is such in high demand for technology, because the Web Summit has been here. And that brings a lot of technology people here. And I think they are also taking that, just getting on that boat, all the blockchain guys. Because, it's blockchain week, then ETH Lisbon, then Web Summit. And after the Web Summit is the Solana conference. So Lisbon is really popping on blockchain, blockchain stuff.
Over there.
Yeah. And there is lots of people here. And Art was invested in at least one of the companies that was here doing some presentations. And he came. He was hosting a dinner actually on Wednesday night for this company he invested on blockchain. And he was like, "Hey, is anyone in Lisbon?" And I was like, "What? I live in Lisbon. What are you talking about? Let's go." And he was like, "Sure, let's go." And then suddenly there was also Daniel Keys from Clout Vista saying, "Hey, who is in Lisbon?" And I was like, "Hey, I am. Come and have dinner with me and Art." And and then it was me, Art, OX Rodney, and the Clout Vista guys, Daniel and his very mysterious brother, which I won't even say the name, but he was also there.
Fantastic.
But it was fun. It was fun, and I didn't know this, but OX Rodney, OX Rodney, you've seen that? He hasn't been very active.
I haven't seen him.
Yeah, he was active, mostly active in the beginning. And if you go to, he was showing his Prosper Clout, that you see the activity. So you see a lot of activity in the first month, and then goes down, and no activity till now. So for the last 4 months. But he was one of the earliest investors in DeSo, one of the first ones putting any VC money, fund money on it. So but it was cool, because I was, what was crazy for me, Mark, and it sucked. I was the oldest person on the damn group. I always been, all my life, Mark. I was always the youngest of the groups. When we were at the group with 4, 5, 10 people, I was always the youngest. And now I was the oldest,
No, you're
and I
the
was
old
like,
man.
what am I? I'm older than Art. And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. What am I doing with my life?
Can't you says you got to shave, bro?
Man, when I learned that
I know the
OX
feeling,
Ronnie was 24 years old, I was crying inside. I was crying inside. I wish I wish I was this young and getting on on blockchain now. Well, I'm still young. That's still fine. I'm still on time, but I'm young kids. Under 30 getting on it. They are making a good choice with their life because it's the future, no doubt.
Absolutely. Well, you heard that, everyone out there. That's wise words from this man. Now, look, Daniel, I'm gonna, in these last few minutes that we've got, I'm gonna hand you over to Alex because he's got some short questions for you.
Ooh,
and
okay.
So, Alex, you ready for that? And I'll just say,
Yeah.
Paul actually posted a comment a little bit earlier saying Dgsus for developer advocate. So we all want you up there. Just saying. All right, Alex, all yours.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. I'll try to do my best to be as short as possible, and I've cut to just 4 questions of my 10-question list. So let's start.
Okay.
What was the best gift you've ever received and give?
In BitClout or in life?
In life.
The best gift?
Gift, yes.
My daughter.
This one you received and gave
Awesome.
at the same time.
Yeah, that's the same gift.
Okay. What was the longest period without shaving? Do you have the photo of it?
I might. I think my longest period without shaving was about, I don't know, maybe it was during the pandemic. So maybe 6 months without shaving. Let me see if I still have a picture.
That should be.
That's a big one. Yeah, I know. Well, it's now it's blurred. Well, I will share it later on BitClout just to make it official and forever.
Awesome. Don't forget to tag CloudForm so we can see it.
I will.
Thank you. So you live in Portugal, in Lisbon, and it seems to me that you are obviously a soccer guy. So Porto or Sporting?
Porto, of course, is my team. And you should ask actually Benfica, because there are the 3 ones. Benfica, Porto, and Sporting are the biggest ones. Most people are from either Porto or Benfica. Yeah, I'm a Porto guy. When I was growing up, well, my hometown is closer to Porto. I was born in Coimbra, and Coimbra is about 100 kilometers from Porto, 100 and something. And Lisbon is almost 3 times as much. And Lisbon is where Benfica is. Porto is where Porto is, of course. And when I was growing up, I lived in Brazil 6 years with my parents when I was very young, and I came back when I was 6. So when I came back, everything was being won by Porto. All the championships, even European championships, Champions League. They were winning everything in Europe. So I was like, yeah, I'm a Porto fan. That's how I came to be, because my parents, they don't, in Portugal, you see a lot that, you see families that, the parent is from Benfica, of course, the kid will be from Benfica, but not in my case. My parents didn't care for football, so I chose who was winning at the time.
Yeah, and for me, the golden time of Porto is when Mourinho was the coach, and you have Alenic.
Yeah,
the
and
Russian
Deco.
guy.
Yeah, and Deco. That was an awesome team with Mourinho. That was a golden year.
Yeah.
What else?
So my last question is going to be about the DeSo, and it's my personal pain. That's why I want to know your opinion on it.
Okay.
From my point of view, some clouters might forgot about initial values that BitClout manifested in the beginning. And what are those values for you that you
Good
share
question.
with this?
Yeah, definitely pumping celebrities to come. It's not one of them. That's for sure. But you know, the vision, the most important thing, there are a few pillars. You know, being open source, so anyone can improve on it, can make their own alterations, and make it work for whatever intentions they might have. So being open source, very important. The next thing on the vision that I think it's wonderful is that, you know, you cannot. It actually is bad and good that you cannot effectively ban anyone. You cannot remove it from the chain in any way possible. So that's also good, but it can also be very bad because, you know, I'm sure that a lot of bad stuff will accumulate on the blockchain because it cannot be deleted. So I actually think that that's something that is well worth a revision and a discussion, because not being able to delete data at all, it can be very bad. It's also good, but it can be bad. And the idea that, you know, anyone, any association, any representation, any group of people could put on their own node and show whatever they want to show. So those are, for me, the most important things, that there is nobody that is controlling what you show to whoever you want to show. So the users that you have, that you can make whatever you want from it, and anyone can. So that is the biggest things for me. The potential of the network is that you know, anyone can belong to it, nobody can effectively be banned, and it's open source, not really community driven, even though it can be in the future. But like I said, the community driven doesn't always mean a good direction, let's say. So let's wait and see. But yeah, that would
Yeah,
be.
thank you so much. And if you allow me, I would cut it to maybe to those three words: transparency, freedom, and open source.
Yeah.
Do you have something to add?
No, that's definitely it. That's the main points of it. That's what kept me here. Yeah.
Yeah, three golden pillar. Thank you so much, Daniel.
My pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you for having me. And you know, I was just sharing your post, and I see, what, you guys are not verified yet. I need to tag you guys and put some pressure to get some
Oh, thank you so
verification
much.
going here.
It'd
Mafia
be very
is in the
much
house.
appreciated.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What was that, Alex?
Yeah, I said Mafia is in the house.
All right, my friends. Alex, thank you for those questions, my man. Thank you for everything you do. Daniel, thank you again for taking the time. I know it's in the morning there for you. You got your family and a weekend to enjoy. So please do have an amazing weekend. Looking forward to catching up very soon.
Too,
Big shout out to everyone watching live. Thanks for joining again. Another episode of Who's Got Clout. I think we can safely say this man's got some clout. And and keep tuned. If you want to check it out, if you like this episode, check out our YouTube channel. You can find all the links on Clout Forum, on BitClout, DeSo, and we got lots of great interviews there and more to come. So with that, thank you very much. Have a great weekend, everyone, and we'll be seeing you very soon.
Have a good one, everyone.